Hey, welcome back, or welcome to my channel, Indieauthor Jill, and today we are going over the 7 books I read in January. The first book we ended up choosing was Anvil's Whisper by Jamie Rodriguez. This one is, it was easy to say that this was my favorite of the year just because it was the first time I read of the year. Now, I actually ended up reading 10 books this month. I'm not putting the 3 kids books that I read because I don't see that it doesn't seem fair to compare kids books with not children's books. So the 3 that I read at the beginning of the year was A Bus Can't Drive Empty, Dragonstones, and The Teapot and the Elephant Are Friends. And I would say that of the 3 of the children's books that I've read, I would say probably The Elephant and the Teapot Are Friends was my favorite. Like I said, I can't really compare that to... It's hard to compare a children's picture book to a young adult or adult novel, just because they're in so many, they're the worlds that they're in are so different. But kids books, of the 3 kids books, I would definitely say The Elephant and the Teapot Are Friends is my favorite. But for the adult books, I did The Anvil's Whisper. Like I said, it was easy to say that was my favorite at the time, just because it was the first book I read, so there was nothing to compare it to other than the 3 children's books. And I did enjoy it. I enjoyed the rich character building and the world building. I especially like Sam. He was one of my favorite characters. So a quick recap. Sam, Jordan's best friend, is blind and a baker, and he pretty much gets through the world just fine on his own, despite his blindness. So if you're in doing the hardest reading challenge you ever did by QWERTY, you'll ever do by that was designed by QWERTY, this would work with your disability rep. But Sam is very quirky, he's very witty, and he has a very it is what it is kind of mentality. So I liked that about this book. Then you got Tales of Arcane of Fortune. That was the next one I read, and I really liked this one. It was so easy to get through. It's very thick, but I was able to get through it in like a day or two, a couple of days, 2 or 3 days, because it was just so easy to read, and you just wanted to keep coming back for more. This one is about Serena and she moves in with her aunt when she's a young adult, and she kind of stands out from the rest of the villagers because she has pink hair. Everybody else has their normal shade of hair, and they think that she's bewitched or cursed, and so they kind of keep their distance from her, other than to get like healing agents from her. And then some mysterious guy comes through looking for a book, and the 2 of them find the book and inadvertently release a bad entity, and the entity curses them with living through 7 different fairy tales, 7 consecutive nights of living through a different fairy tale, and as long as she can get through each of them, then like he'll lift whatever curse he's put on her. And I enjoyed going through the different fairy tales with them. And then Paragon Exordium, another thick book, but another one that was really easy. No, actually, I didn't do this one next. So this is actually the 4th book of these. and you may think I have no idea how to count because there's obviously only 2 books here, but one of my friends wanted to borrow the 3rd book that I checked out, that I got, and it was How to Live an Extraordinary Life with or Without Mr. Right. And basically she goes in and explains biblically, or with biblical evidence, why your worth is not tied to whether or not you as a woman are a mother or a wife. One thing that I need to say about Arcana Fortune that I did not get into in the review video is that it has all this really cool... I'm going to get up close so you guys can see. Hopefully I'm in focus. But all these cool pictures and drawings, and the artwork, that's my favorite character there. His name is Nuts. But all these drawings are done by the author herself. So, and they're all throughout the book. And it very much reads like a collection of fairy tales. It's really great. Like I said, I enjoyed it a lot. So, yeah, Envel's Whisper, The Tales of Arcana Fortune, and then How to Live an Extraordinary Life with or Without Mr. Right. And The Tales of Arcana Fortune was written by Hafsa Ajawad. And then the, I know the author's name of How to Live a... It's so hard for me to keep up with who wrote what. I'm not really good with names. But How to Live an Extraordinary Life with or Without Mr. Right. Like I said, she comes from the point of view of showing you that your worth is not tied as a woman to whether or not you're a mother and whether or not you're a wife, but what kind of a relationship you have with God. And there are women who, like, they physically cannot have children, and that doesn't necessarily mean that they are not worthy as a woman. It's just how they were designed. And as with most Christians, I believe that you're designed perfectly. So if you have been designed that, your body is not capable of having children, that doesn't mean you're not capable of loving children. Or if you decide that you just don't want children, if that's not your take. I know a couple of people, myself, that refuse to have children of their own simply because of how many different medical issues their family have that are genetic. But that one was the first nonfiction we got into this year, and like I said, I enjoyed it. The 4th one is Paragon Exordium by Michael Milwassel. Sorry, Michael, I will get your name right, I promise. But yeah, Michael Milwassel wrote Paragon Exordium, and this is the sky has completely shattered and cracked, and now everything that used to be legendary is real. Dwarves are real, orcs are real, basilisks are real, magic is real, and people are trying to figure out how to make their way in this new world, and a new society has to be established as a result. I did give the narrator for the audiobook a hard time. Like I said, almost all of his accents were turned up to 11, and it was amusing for me to hear the different accents. The Irish guy that he did, the Michael did get a hold of me and let me know that the reason that the Irish guy sounded so much like an Irishman is because the guy that they hired to do the narration is an Irish man. He is from Ireland, and what I loved about the Irishman, because in this book the Irishman was my favorite character, is that he would break off. He would be sitting there talking about one thing, and then he would just break off and tell a small story about his mom or his gran, or he would make an off comment. When he was talking about the dwarves, he always calls them the leprechauns, which they're definitely not leprechauns, but it's funny that he would call them that. And at one point he's talking to Peter, and he's telling him about they're talking about the council, and he tells him my mom would take her turn with them and bury them, and then she would dig them up and serve them the best spaghetti this side of the Mississippi or whatever. And he's like, your mom? And he's like, yep, made the best city in the whole 53 states. And he would make comments like that, and Peter's like, wait, hang on, something doesn't click about that. And then he would go, oh yeah, trust me. And there was at one point when he's talking about the guy that took a shot and the bullet curves, and he's like, are you sure the bullet curves? And he says, yeah, it curved. And he said, and Peter tells him, are you sure you had a clear shot? And the Irishman says, my dead gran could have made that shot with both hands tied behind her back and blindfolded. And like, it's his way of exaggerating things that I love, because the Irish people that I do know, they're the same way. They will make an exaggeration to make their point, and it's sometimes almost in a comical way. That's the fourth. So the fifth book was When Stars Explode by Natalie Marie, and a supernova, a star literally explodes, causing a supernova, or is that it? I don't know science, so I don't know if a star exploding is a supernova, but anyway, that might be. Anyway, a star explodes, and the fallout that hits Earth pretty much kills most of the adults and leaves many of the kids with superpowers. And now there are these like scientists around the country or whatever, around the world, that have taken shelter, and then they've come out and they are rounding up the kids and trying to create the new government as they see fit, using these high-powered kids. And they do so in the through methods of torture. And so the kids have to decide, okay, do we choose the least evil scientist and swear fidelity to them, or do we just rise up and rebel and get rid of the scientists altogether? And so that's a choice they have to make. In 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I can count, 6 is The Catalyst. This one I had a lot of fun with. And this is just kind of an example of each book that I read this month was better than the last kind of thing, for their own reasons. But The Catalyst is another fantasy. There's an elvish princess, Alyssa, and then there's the human prince, Hayward, and he's supposed to be going to the Elven Kingdom to try and draw up a peace treaty between his kingdom and Alyssa's kingdom. And he gets there and finds out that Alyssa's mom has other ideas. It's not just about a peace treaty. It's can I get this young prince to fall in love with and marry my very troublesome daughter who does not like the idea of being a traditional princess. And like I've said in the review video, Alyssa has very strong Merida vibes from Disney's Brave. She's great with an arrow. She'd rather be out hunting and riding horseback than sitting in the inside and knitting and being a spoiled, flattered princess. The seventh book that I read, I didn't write any of these. I'm not taking credit for anybody's work. Catalyst was written by Marlissa Cunningham, sorry. The seventh book was Elite Memories by David J. Gibson. And in this story, we're in the year 2150. It's a dystopian future. These the world has been kind of divided between underlings and elites. The elites live in these capitals under domes where they get fresh air, fresh water, the best food. They're very well cared for. And then the underlings live outside of these domes in polluted air, stuck with polluted water, and have to make the best of it. And most of them are dying or sick. But they have a chance to save their children if they are willing to send their healthy 2-year-olds to the center. The center brings these healthy 2-year-old underlings into the center, and they're raised in a facility, and they're trained, and they're kept healthy, and they're given good food and good water, and they're exercised, and they're trained to be strong, healthy people. And then the underlings, the elites, when their bodies start getting too sick or too old or too decrepit, they can go to this facility and do a memory swap where they will have the underlings' memories will be wiped. The elites' memories will be taken out of the sick and decrepit body and put into the healthy, young, strong body. And so you have Damon, who is 26, and his dad is 150. But he is gone through several brain transfers or memory transfers to where he keeps on living. And Damon undergoes the memory swap because his body is starting to break down and get sick. He has gotten some kind of disease that is just killing his body. So he finally goes through the mind sweep so that he can get a better body. But things go awry and he ends up in the body of a sheepdog. And the sheepdog lives on a farm outside of the facility, or outside of the dome. And so he gets a first hand view of how underlings actually live, how they're being treated by the elite guards who are overseeing them. And much to his surprise, he finds that he adapts very well to being a sheepdog. He is a very good sheepdog. And after a while, he kind of gets to the point of, I'm okay just being a dog, you know. But he joins with some other animal rebellion, other animals whose memories have been taken from humans to put into animals, and he joins their rebellion to take down the elites and to kind of equalize things a little bit. And as I've said in my review video, the most realistic thing about this story is also the one thing that annoys me the most, is that it's the year 2150, and when he goes in for this treatment, they give him a hospital gown, and it's just a blue gown that they tell him it ties in the back, and he says, I hate these gowns. They're always about 3 feet too short, and they leave my butt hanging out in the cold. And I told my husband, I said, this is my greatest fear for the future. It's not nuclear fallout. It's not World War III. It's that 124 years from now, we are going to see that hospital gown technology just hasn't evolved at all. And that this is literally the best we can get. So, if there's any medical developers out there, spend a little time working on that, will you? It's got to be better. You got to be able to do better, right? So yeah, and David needlessly apologized for the hospital gowns. I love that he apologized about it, but honestly, it's just so fitting. It's the one thing I kind of cling to, but it's also one of the things that just makes me love the book, because it's like I can absolutely see a world where things keep evolving, and the one thing that stays the same is these hospital gowns. We're going to have a nuclear fallout. Humans are going to be wiped out. The cockroaches, who we've been told are going to survive the nuclear blast, are going to end up getting this nuclear blast and becoming the size of adult humans, and they're going to be wandering around wearing these hospital gowns, and it's just never going to change. You know, they'll develop sentience. They'll start hospitals, and their hospital gowns will be the same as what we've always had. That's what I think's gonna happen. But of the 7 books that I read this month, and like I said, I'm losing them. So, one of my friends borrowed How to Live an Extraordinary Life with or Without Mr. Right, and she was supposed to get it back to me before this point, but the weather here has been to a point where she was not able to get it back to me, because we haven't been able to get out to go meet up with each other to get the books back and forth to each other. So I didn't get the book back yet. And since I'm doing this video now, I don't actually technically need it back. If she kept it, that would not be a big deal. If she gives it back, it's going right back on the shelf. So, but for January 2026, of the 7 books that I have read, the one that I liked the most of all of these has to be Elite Memories. So, do with that information what you will, and I will let you. The links for all of these books will be in the description below, and I guess the next video will probably be maybe a review video. We'll see. I don't know. Anyway, that's all I got for you guys today. And until next time, I will see you later. Bye.